we are going to be doing today. And like I was saying, if you're not familiar with a magic card, what's magical about it is, boom, all of a sudden you have color. Boop, boop. So this is the one we're going to make today. Now, I do have to tell you that this particular stamp set is retiring on May 31st. But of course, as is usual with Stampin' Up, you can still get it as a bundle. This is the stamp set. So the stamp set plus the actual kit that has the envelopes and the card bases. It's kind of worth it just for the card bases alone. So you can get the clear box, the ones for the clear box, so the cling stamps you've heard me talk about. That's $39.50 right now, but it will go away May 31st. So if you're interested, you may want to take a look at that. And of course, you can find out more information. You guessed it, thecraftymuse.com. You can even go directly to my online store to buy it for yourself. You end up making 16 cards, so it's definitely worth it. It sounds like a lot of money at $39.50, but it's worth it. Thank you, Paula. Hopefully I'm back now. I am sideways, like I said, so I'm not sure how this is going to work out, but we'll go with it, right? So we'll put the card right there, and then we'll get ourselves started. Having to rearrange the desk, of course. The card starts with a normal card base. So it's the traditional 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. The other pieces that you'll need are a 4 by 3.5 piece of Whisper White or whatever color you would like. And this is where the colored thank you will be. Your window sheet will be the exact same size, 4 by 3.5. Then the inside of the card that's going to hold the slider is 4.5 by 7.5, scored at 3 3/4. And this will make a lot more sense later, but it is going to be folded in half. It's going to fit inside of the card, and the slider is going to go in here. So we're going to move all this out of the way for now, but you can see it's a pretty typical set of paper. Okay. You also need a little bit of a strip. That's going to help it to not come out of your card. So I think mine is a 1/2 inch by maybe 4.5. The designer series paper that I'm using is a traditional 5 1/4 by 4, like so a normal layer. that we would be used to seeing. And I cut the center out. Now, I'm sorry I cannot, what's the word, zero in on this, but our camera's messed up. So anyway, so hopefully you can see that I've used the largest scallop thinlet. And once you cut that out, of course, the piece that you are left with looks like this. Now, I put a lot of tear and tape on the back of mine. And the reason I did that is I don't want it to move when it comes to around the scallop section. So you want to go ahead and put the scallop section down on your card front, the traditional, once again, card front that we're all used to seeing. And then the way I ended up with a little bit of a border around the thank you is by placing the oval framelit directly inside of the scallop section after I put it on the card front. And that's how you get just a little bit of an edge of the scallops, and it looks like it's been framed. You'll notice here I'm using washi tape to hold things down. It's just easier sometimes. But once you take it apart, then you get the piece we've been talking about. So your card will fold like that. Hey, Sue. You missed all the fun when I didn't know what was going on. Okay. So once again, here's where we're headed. I'm getting all these other pieces out of the way. We are going to use the Stamparatus because it's my new favorite tool, as we've talked about before. But it's already set up for my class on Sunday. If you're not coming to class on Sunday and you would like to, you're in the Littleton area, you can still sign up on my website, thecraftymuse.com. I am paying tribute to the Occasions catalog and the Retiring Stampin' Up! Catalog because we're going to have quite a few price changes in the next catalog effective June 1st, and I decided to only charge $20 for 15 cards, which is a really good deal. So if you can sign up by midnight tonight, you can still be included. Would love to have you. My next class is in June. You can already see those out on thecraftymuse.com. Okay, so here we go. We know we need our 4 by 3.5 piece, like we talked about, and the matching the matching 4 by 3.5 yeah, Larry was whispering, window sheet. Because I've already set my Stamparatus up for Sunday's class, I'm doing this a little differently. I'm using this corner up here, and I'm going to use StazOn and use my normal Stampin' Right markers. If you intended to color this with your blends, you'd want to use Memento ink on this piece. And I've shown you before how I've made sure everything gets lined up. I use the Stampin' Majig as my tool. This is the image sheet from the Stampin'. And I can play around with it, and that's how I can get the stamp set up correctly on the plate. I'm very sad to tell you that the Stampin' is actually retiring as a Stampin' Up! Item. And it is on sale for the low, low price of $9.60. Feel free to go out to, you guessed it, thecraftymuse.com. You can have a link out to my Stampin' Up! Store and still get it before they're gone at the end of May. So here we go, using StazOn, and it'll make sense why we're using StazOn in just a moment when we do the window sheet. So yes, people on Sunday, we will be using that Happy Birthday to You stamp right there. Of course, it's upside down for you, so. There's our thank you. The way I know that my window sheet and my thank you that was just stamped on the Whisper White will match up is because I'm going to align the window sheet with the corner again. So this time it'll be a lot easier to make sure that the image and the image on the window sheet match up perfectly. This was one of the problems in making magic cards in the past, was getting these to line up exactly right. So yay for the Stamparatus. StazOn is the one ink that will stay, hence the name StazOn, on the window sheet. So now we have our two pieces. They line up exactly. Voila. Now, once you have that already, you don't really want to sit here and watch me color this, so I am just going to bring in the one I previously colored, like I said, using the normal Stampin' Right markers. What we want to do is put just a little piece of snail right up at the center on the top. Oh, the colors I'm using. I'm so glad you asked. The pink, so the top layer of the thank is powder pink. The green, or the shadow on the thank, is old olive. And then a little splash of rich raspberry to coordinate with the Designer Series paper. This Designer Series paper is already sold out. It retired. It was from the Occasions catalog. So it's probably not very fair that I'm using it today, but I thought it was pretty. Okay, so we've got it all colored. We've got it perfectly lined up. And now they're together. We want to use a piece of that designer paper to create the little tab up at the top. And what I did is I used the 1 3/8 scallop punch, which was new in the Occasions catalog, and punched a piece out of the piece that came out when we cut the scallop oval. So you just take that circle, fold it in half. I am going to put a piece of twine in here, so I'm going to go ahead, I went ahead actually, and punched out the hole on this piece because the hole punch has a hard time going through all 4 pieces. So we're going to put a little bit of adhesive on this. We're going to cover up that place where we put that snail to hold this together. And then I'm going to punch in the same hole. Hopefully it'll be easier to go through this time. It did not punch all the way through, but easy enough to take your snips and punch it out from the back. So that's what the 1 3/8 scallop circle was used for. Okay, lost part of my card. Okay, so we are going to, eventually you will see this thank you through that window, but you are going to see it with the black showing, like in the sample. In order to make that happen, we are going to create a bit of a shield kind of thing. When you do your own at home, I would love to see pictures of them, by the way, but anyway, when you do your own at home, you want to leave enough room on the Calypso coral to bring in your tear and tape. And you want to make sure there's plenty of room because you don't want the slide to stick. Now you wonder, why is it turned this way? We're going to take this window punch that's normally used for sentiments. I'm sure you're familiar with it. We're going to play a little trick with it. I like using this one because it has the points on the end. And what you can do is you want a little bit left at the edge, but you can line up directly the 2 pointed ends, punch, go down to the other end, and do the same thing. In this case, I left just a hair in there, so we'll get rid of that. What's going to happen is this piece will slide in here. It will slide in here. And that's how we'll be able to make the magic happen. Now you'll notice I'm trying to do this now before I attach it to the card because I can see I need a little more room. So back to my punch. I'm going to come in just a little bit more, give it a little more leeway. I'm going to do that on both sides. Try and keep it as even as possible. This time I'm going to punch that centerpiece out with the punch. Okay. Hopefully this time there's enough room. So once again, there we go. It'll slide in there perfectly, like so. This then will be placed on the back panel here. But there's a few more things we want to do before that happens. For one thing, we want to be able to actually pull on that tab. So we're going to use that same scallop punch and cut a piece out. I sort of cheated when I was playing around with this and made a little mark where the tab is so that I could get the punch exactly where I wanted it. So it's about there and there. So I'm just going to slide this in, center it between those two little lines I just made. I don't want to go too far because I don't want to get into the scallop. But now we will be able to pull this out when it's ready to go. And you might be saying, what am I going to pull that out with? Well, lo and behold, we have some Calypso Coral twine. This is new in the catalog, so don't tell anybody. I'm going to feed, I fold it in half. I'm going to feed the loop through the hole. And then bring the two pieces back through like so. So that's where the string will come from to actually be able to pull on it to get it out. Now let's talk about how we finish this up. Now remember, we want the thank you to be in the center. So we want to keep that in mind. We can line up everything like so. That's where we want it. The adhesive can go all over the back of this piece because it is not interfering at all with the sliding mechanism or the magic. I used tear and tape mainly because these cards, you know, they get played with a lot typically, and you don't want them to fall apart the first time the person uses it. I take off the backing on the tear and tape using my paper piercing tool. Now, once again, this is a very important part. So before you lay that down, the tear and tape is very strong. It'll be the strongest adhesive we have in the upcoming catalog. We will not be selling Fast Fuse any longer. It is a Tombow product. So that's where we would like this to be. So now we know we can carefully lay it down and adhere that to the back. We talked about needing some tear and tape on the edges here. Some people use dimensionals. Hi, Maureen. In order to give it a little bit of cushion. I don't know that that's absolutely necessary, but the new mini dimensionals would probably work perfectly if you did want to give it a little height, a little more room in there. Now, before we lay that all down, I like my magic cards to not come completely out, which of course that one just did. But anyway, I like for it to stay so that it doesn't just disappear. And the way you would do that is by placing a piece of paper Okay, a piece of paper. Okay, don't know where that went. But you would just put a small strip on the back of this. So this is the one where you colored the thank you. Interesting. Oh well. So you would adhere it across the back here. Mine was a 1/2 inch wide and the length was the width of this card. Yeah, we don't know where it is. It ran away from home. Run away. It's okay. I think you guys can tell what I'm talking about. So by doing that, then when this comes up, that piece that you put on the back will keep it from coming out of the edges right there. Hi, Karen. How are things in Virginia? So I'm pretty sure you know what I'm talking about there. But if not, because I will post some additional information out on one of my sites. We have Pinterest. We have the blog is on thecraftymuse.com. Of course, the Facebook page that you're on right now. Ooh, rainy in Virginia. Beautiful, sunny in the 80s here today in Littleton, Colorado. So, just like that, we have our magic card. Yay. This is a lot of fun for birthdays and, well, actually for everybody. I was going to say children like them, but, you know, I kind of like them too. And that's how you get it done. If you have any questions, feel free to shout them out right now. Once again, we used the layering ovals, framelits. I used the, thank you Maureen, I used the scallop one, and then I used the plain one to cut inside, which gave it the little bit of the frame. We used the sentiment punch, the newer sentiment punch. We used the 1 3/8 scallop circle punch from the Occasions catalog that is carrying over to the new catalog. We use the handheld punch. We use tear and tape. And once again, we use StazOn because we were going to color with the normal markers. Once again, if you were going to color with your blends, you would use the Memento. But be sure to use the StazOn on your plastic piece. And oh, by the way, make sure you don't use StazOn when you're doing your positioning tool using the image sheet, because it won't come off. This color here is one of the brand new colors, new for June 1st, called Shaded Spruce. I really like it. I know it's kind of tough to see with the glare and all this other stuff laying around, but that's what we have going on. That's a little bit better. So the stamps that we used, once again, was the Color Me Happy. It comes in a bundle with the project kit. And the project kit is the one that has the 16 card bases and all the embellishments to make a lot of fun cards. The instructions in these project kits are usually pretty good, and they walk you through exactly what to do to get each one done. And this particular set was introduced when we introduced the blends. Hopefully you guys remember that. We are going to have a lot more colors of blends coming up on June 1st. For those customers of mine who are in my database, you should have already received your catalog. Hopefully you're already working on your wish list. I know I'm working on mine. Like we talked about early on, I hope that you will consider joining Stampin' Up, mainly because I think we'd have a lot of fun in Orlando for the 30th anniversary celebration. I appreciate you all watching. If you're local and would like to come to Sunday's class, you can go out to thecraftymuse.com and register there. It's only $20 for 15 cards this time around. Like we talked about, the prices will go up with the next catalog, but not a lot. Okay. Thank you everyone for watching. I hope that you learned something new today. And once again, next time, hopefully we will get this back in the right direction. It wasn't too bad though. What do you think? All right. Thank you all. This is Janet Muse, your Crafty Muse, signing off in Littleton, Colorado. Have a lovely day. Thank you all so much. Bye. Larry says bye too.